maybe you like my easy smile. Maybe, oh maybe, we'll stop for a little while. Maybe, oh maybe, we'll watch the sun go down. And maybe, oh maybe, we'll decide to stick around. And maybe we won't, and decide to take a walk. And you and I will ponder as we wander, as we walk.
Welcome to Ponder While We Wander. We're two friends who happen to be therapists go on a walk as we discuss relationships, nature, and meet life in the moment. Each episode is grounded in some aspect of eco-psychology, but can take us anywhere as we ponder while we wander. And you're invited to come along.
And you and I will ponder as we wander, as we walk.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi, Amber.
You want to tell the people where we are today?
Yes, I will try to tell people. We are still in Seattle, and we're at Denny Park, and we have found this lovely little curated space where it is slightly misty and raining, and there are still little birds around.
Yeah.
There are some beautiful trees without much foliage right now because it is March, and we have come to visit this labyrinth here in the corner of the park.
Yes, it's made of stone. Square, rectangle, but mostly square stones, gray and dark gray, so you can see the outline of the labyrinth in the dark gray stones. And we're gonna, surprise, surprise, talk about labyrinths today.
We are. We're going to talk about labyrinths. I love to talk about labyrinths. Let's talk about labyrinths.
Let's talk about labyrinths. Maybe we should start with what is a labyrinth.
It's a good place to start because I think a lot of times labyrinths and mazes get confused, and that is understandable. There are some differences, though, between labyrinths and mazes. Labyrinths are designed in a way, unlike mazes. Mazes are designed as more like a puzzle where there might be tricks and turns, and you have to figure out which is the way to get out of a maze.
I don't know about for you, but mazes have always stressed me out a little bit.
I think they're supposed to do that.
It's like left, right, up, down. Do you do it in pen, dicey? Pencil always, but I prefer pen, so the stakes felt high whenever you turn.
Right. When you get the placemats and you have to use a crayon, I mean, that feels...
Yeah, I like that.
I like
that better. No, it feels permanent to you.
Yeah, crayon feels permanent.
Oh, I'm imagining like a large plastic child placemat that you can erase the crayon.
No. But this is old school, like coffee shop. You go with your grandparents, and they give you the kids, like placemat with the crayons
on the back of the menu.
Yeah.
Stakes are high with the crayon menu. Yeah. Labyrinth.
So unlike mazes, labyrinth is designed with intention, and there's one way in and one way out. And maybe that's why you don't feel as much tension or stress with it, because you don't really have to figure anything out necessarily.
Yeah.
Although
Agreed.
It is designed in ways, a good labyrinth is designed in ways that will be somewhat confusing. You won't necessarily know if you're getting close to the center or not. And it looks like this is a beautiful example of a labyrinth. I just want to point out a few things of this labyrinth, and maybe we'll take a picture. Hopefully we'll remember to take a picture of it.
I'm going to do that right now.
Let's do that right now. If you notice, Amber, you can see the center of the labyrinth over there. And then you see the entrance. It's off to the side here.
Oh, yeah. They're not in line with each other. They're
it's not
slightly
aligned,
off-center.
So you're already starting kind of off-center. The other thing about a well-designed labyrinth is that you have room to walk. right? You have a path that you can walk, and this one being outside in a public space, you can have multiple people walking this at the same time. And you can also see out the whole field of the labyrinth is exposed. You can see the edges, you can see the middle. It's very clear. There's no hidden places in this.
Right. The path is clear.
The path is clear. This one also has this path. Come with me. This path on the outside is lovely. I like, before I start to take a walk on the labyrinth, to walk this path on the outside. Some people say it's warming up the labyrinth, and
Yeah, it's like a perimeter space around the labyrinth that you can, a little path you can walk on.
Yeah. Maybe it's just getting you ready to take that walk, to enter in. So those are the basic pieces of a labyrinth. Do you have any questions about it?
Oh, I love it. And I mean, you and I have visited a couple different labyrinths together, and you've visited some different parts of the world. And I always think it's so interesting how, we've seen a lot of different ones. We've seen this one today, it's stone, it's very clear, the delineations are very clear. There's one closer to where I live. It's kind of in the forest, and it's primarily just like stones set apart, and there's like roots that come through part of the path. And we've seen another one where there's been, like pieces of like glass plates and shells and coins, and so
like a mosaic.
Thank you. That's what I'm looking for. A mosaic. Just how beautiful and different they all can be, and different experiences that each one can elicit or foster. And yet there's a similarity between all of them in the original components that you were discussing around kind of what are the parts of a labyrinth. So
you and I were talking earlier about like why labyrinths, like where did they come from? And it's a great question. It doesn't have a very great answer to some people if you really like answers to your questions, because
that's a good tee up for liminal space that we'll talk about in a little bit. But yes, there's no defining moment where like labyrinths began here. This date.
No, you're right. We really don't know. There's a lot of mystery around labyrinths. We do know that there are examples of labyrinths across many cultures, across many periods of time, and there are theories about what they are. Some range from maybe they're just a doodle on a clay tablet somewhere, and that there's a shepherd out in the field doodling something and came up with the design, and on the other side of that tablet there were hash marks, and that person was counting sheep or something.
Art brought to life, kind of.
Maybe art brought to life. Could just be an expression. We do know that certain aspects of sacred geometry, which is the geometry found in nature, and if you study the way that nature designs or has shown up in the world, there is some mathematical properties that exist across that, and some of those properties exist in building labyrinths. And if you've ever tried to replicate one in your space or in your park or whatever, there are people who've become really great resources to help us figure out how to make these labyrinths, because you need to incorporate some of that geometry.
Right, some elements of sacred geometry in them.
So mystery, but I think it's kind of cool that some of this symbol of a labyrinth pops up in lots of different
Yeah, you were also
ways.
talking to me and telling me about this part of labyrinths as maybe pilgrimage sites, or there's certain like periods in time that we maybe tend to see them more. There's more of a focus on labyrinths.
Yeah. Labyrinths did not originally start in a religious kind of factor, but we do see them pop up in some Christian traditions when the time frame in the Crusades made it really dangerous for people to do pilgrimages to holy sites, we would see cathedrals and places of worship install labyrinths where you could travel a little closer, a little safer to a site. And then the labyrinth became that place where you could finalize that part of the journey of the pilgrimage experience. And you do find labyrinths in different cathedrals, like the Chartres Cathedral is one of the most famous ones. But you see them pop up all over nowadays.
Yeah.
We're here in a park in the middle of an urban area.
Right.
The Worldwide Labyrinth Locator is a great resource for finding labyrinths in your area.
Yes.
And you will see that they pop up in hospitals and on university grounds. They may pop up in people's backyards or in... I've seen them handheld ones in stores, but also in other genre and under other areas.
And you have done a handful of times before finger labyrinth workshops for people as well. So, I mean, we're talking about, like, they can be so accessible. Even if you happen to be in an area where you don't have one in your natural environment, there's lots of ways to still gain access and have an experience of a labyrinth.
I think the question next is like, okay, well, why labyrinth?
Yes. Why labyrinths? Why the labyrinth? So
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Did you find labyrinths or did labyrinths find you?
Well, let's see. I found you and you found labyrinths. So both, maybe?
I love that question. For me, labyrinths found me.
Yeah.
And it came at a time in my life where I had always had a mindfulness practice, and either a sitting mindfulness practice or walking mindfulness practice, but more sitting that was working for me. But I was at a time in my life where I was experiencing some really deep, profound grief. And if you've ever had that kind of grief, you never know how it's going to affect you. And how it affected me at that time was that I had a really hard time sitting and having my mindfulness practice be helpful for me. And so it was at a time where I just happened to be out of my element and walking around and ran across a large labyrinth, and I decided that I would take a walk in it. And it was profoundly grounding in a way that my mindfulness practice had been before, but I wasn't able to achieve again. And then it just went from there. It was a really deepening experience, and we can talk more about like how that happens or why that might happen and how that might happen for other people.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the labyrinth found me at a time when I needed to.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
Would you like to walk this labyrinth with me as we talk?
Let's walk the labyrinth.
So the first thing that I often tell people is that there are no rules to walking a labyrinth, and you can do whatever you like. You don't even have to stay on the path if you don't want to. If you want to just walk straight to the center and then walk back out again, perfectly fine. Or if you get lost somewhere along the way and want to come back out and restart, perfectly fine. There are no rules. The only caveat to that is if you are walking with other people, that you allow other people to have their own personal experience of the labyrinth and try to facilitate that as best as possible.
And if you are deciding you want to walk the path and you are walking it with another person, what that might look like in terms of allowing everyone to have their experiences. It's totally okay to just step outside the path, let each other pass, step back inside. So it's just making space for everybody to move through.
Yeah, there's also another practice that if you have done any kind of mindfulness or Buddhist meditation in a group where you kind of soften your gaze and you don't really look at other people directly in the eye, you allow them to kind of have their own personal space. In Western culture here, like if you're walking around with other people, it's important to like make eye contact, but in this setting, it's not as important. In fact, it's maybe more respectful to let other people have their own experience and not make that eye contact like that.
Yeah.
So as we start here at the beginning, just as an offering, there might be 4 parts to walking a labyrinth that you can do if you choose to do it this way. And the first part is right at the beginning. We can do a little bit of a release, kind of knowing whatever it is that we're taking from the day, whatever we've brought with us, that we can kind of leave it here at the door. And as we start to move in, sometimes it takes a while to kind of release all that stuff. As you walk toward the center, that is the release. You're releasing that stuff that you've brought with you in this moment. And once we get to the center, it might be a place where you can just be. And that's a place where some people find you can receive. And sometimes it's a feeling. Sometimes, like when we're out in nature or in public like this, there can be some synchronicity. There can be something that happens around you that you notice. And there are thousands of things going on around us right now, right? So we're not going to be able to notice all of it, but there might be something that stands out to you. It's okay to notice that.
Yeah.
It's also okay to notice if something really, an emotion comes in very strongly, or kind of this thought that seems really important. Some people even experience an embodied sensation, or a smell, or a really strong memory of something, and that might be the place where you receive that and you just kind of notice it and hold it.
And I would add too, there might just be, there might not be a strong sensation or something that really catches you, and that I think there's this feeling of like this openness or just receiving whatever. It might feel quiet, it might feel, you know, awaiting, so that there's space for whatever type of experience, which, you know, I think is what you said at the beginning, but I'm just circling back to that part. It's like all experiences are welcome here. The part that I often think about is like, what's it like to just be open?
Right, there's no right or wrong, and in that same respect, there's no failing or succeeding as walking the labyrinth. And in fact, a labyrinth is what we consider a liminal space. It's the space between, and it's not a space where you always have clarity in the moment. There's often confusion that comes with it, a disorientation, and that's part of that process. Sometimes we have to get out of what we are thinking, what the stories are, what the patterns are in our own lives, in order to experience something different.
I love liminal space.
I also love that this is a great container for that liminal space.
Yes, it's contained.
So we talked about releasing as we walk through towards the center, receiving in the middle, and then as we come back out, we're returning. So we're preparing, or we're returning back to what we're going to experience for the rest of the day or the rest of our lives, or however you want to kind of incorporate that.
Right.
And then once you step back out, sometimes we can give a little gesture or a ritual as we cross this threshold coming back out again. And that's the return, where we return back to our lives. And we can take whatever experience was there, or we're taking something that might show up later as important with us in that return. And and then integrate that integration phase of how that shows up in our lives will happen. There's no forcing it. That little squirrel. That's very cool.
Or if he wants to walk the labyrinth with us.
Yeah, oh my gosh. It's just burying
Always burying
something
us.
in the wood chips over there.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. It's kind of cool that they just do that. They just bury shit. And my understanding is they don't remember all the places that they bury shit. They like if that's your job is to go around and just find things and bury shit, and then later on, yeah, you might find it again.
I wonder if they think they're going to remember. Like,
No.
I know, but this nut's going to be.
No, I think that's us. I think that's
Us imposing
that's a
that
human thing.
ideas.
Look at those guys. Look at them. They're like, no, man. I'm just going to bury stuff all over the place. And then whatever happens. Okay. So shall we walk and talk?
Let's walk.
So feel free to share or not share. What other questions do you have about labyrinths? Or observations do you have about labyrinths?
Yeah, I'm finding myself, I've actually entered the labyrinth, and I was in the zone of being in here for a moment.
Do you notice anything different when you step in? Or?
Yeah, it just feels like a little bit of a shift for me personally. There's like I never quite know what is going to happen when I enter a labyrinth. You know, sometimes I feel like I've had really deep, profound experiences or sensations or thoughts or ideas that have come. Sometimes it feels like just a way to begin to slow. Like if things have been feeling really busy or my mind's been moving really quickly, like sometimes I just have that sensation of slowing.
I think that is one of the most important pieces of slowing down and just being present with whatever is coming up.
Yeah, it's this like returning to what is, returning again and again. I think also for me, experiences with labyrinths, you know, prior to walking more of them as I have in the last couple of years, there's something that feels familiar to them or familiar to me about labyrinths, where there's sort of this like rhythmic quality. And in the past, I've enjoyed a lot of those types of activities that have this very like rhythmic experience, like whether it be running or rowing or yoga, even in a sense. So there's something about that happens for me with labyrinths too. I think it's partly the path to be followed. So part of my brain cannot be wondering, okay, where am I going next? I just get to sort of drop in. And also there is a pattern. There's like a circular kind of motion, and even just the like bilateral movement of arms and legs swinging, there's a rhythm that happens there. And for me, historically, that's also been a grounding place to kind of enter other levels of awareness and consciousness.
There's scientific evidence to back that up also of that bilateral stimulation. It's acting on, when we talk about that, the different hemispheres of the brain and kind of going back and forth. When you put your right foot down, your left side of your brain is activated. And when you put your right, what did I say? Yeah, the other one down, the other side is activated. Lost my train there. You know what I mean. That and a lot of labyrinths are designed in ways that have equal amounts of right-hand turns and left-hand turns. And so you're getting that turning motion and turning the different directions as well. So we're in the center, and it's a beautiful place to be with you in the center.
Agreed. Are there any experiences that are coming to mind for you with walking labyrinths or parts that stand out personally?
I love experiences walking with other people, either people I know or people I don't know. Some of those experiences just kind of solidify in my own life. I remember walking that labyrinth with you that we found on Bainbridge Island, and it just a magical labyrinth right there. Where what a gift to the community and an invitation for people to show up and just walk. To find public spaces that incorporate beauty and nature, and the view was amazing, and just could feel a shift of, I think it was a time where I had just flown in, and it's travel.
Yeah.
You had picked me up from a ferry.
Yeah.
I think that was also
some unexpected travel delays. There was a lot.
Unexpected travel delays. There was a lot going on there, and for that labyrinth to show up that day was extra special.
Yeah.
And to be with you as well.
Agreed. That was a special one that we found for sure. Yeah.
And I've also walked the Chartres labyrinth in the Chartres Cathedral, and been there with so many people from so many different walks of life, and walking the labyrinth in so many different ways. There was a woman there who had these robes on, and she had the most beautiful voice, and she would break out into song, and she would sing her way through parts of it, and it was absolutely mesmerizing. And another woman who waited until everybody cleared the center space for her, so that she could go in and have that space for herself, and she was able to lay down in the space and just take that moment for herself, and that was actually really beautiful to experience as well.
I love the container of the labyrinth that is both allowing for an individual experience and a shared collective experience.
I love that.
So some of my favorite places to be where there's a both and like a silent honoring of there's space for everyone here. There's space for you to do it in the way that works for you, and that doesn't diminish the experience that I might be having. If anything, it adds to the beauty of the collective. And I mean, labyrinths are just such an amazing place to have that.
For me, it's a metaphor. Shall we walk back out?
Let's walk out.
For me, it's a metaphor also of walking along paths with people in our lives, whether it be friends or family. And, sometimes we are going to cross paths, and sometimes we're taking very different paths. I remember one of the times walking that Chartres Cathedral labyrinth, and I was walking along, and I met another woman there who was speaking French, because we were in France, of course. And my French is not really French. It's, very poor.
French adjacent.
French adjacent, but I try. And what she was asking me, because obviously she was confused, was I going in or coming back out? Because she was lost, whether she was going the right way or not. And so we were able to figure it out in my limited vocabulary, and her asking in that meeting point whether I was going in or coming out. And whatever the exchange was, it satisfied the moment, and it was a really great, I think, metaphor of getting lost in the world, and when do we ask, and how do we ask, and when are we walking alongside, and maybe we're just meeting at that point, and then we're moving on, and that's what that moment was meant for.
Yeah, that is a really beautiful metaphor. I love that.
Lots of different experiences.
And all of them are good. All of them are accepted. All of them are
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes I walk labyrinths and there's not anything profound. It just kind of is.
That's right.
But it was a way to take a little bit of time and center and ground. And here we are.
And here we are.
We've made it back out.
Yeah. Well, I've loved talking about labyrinths with you today. And yeah, I hope people feel maybe curious or inspired to see if there's any labyrinths in their area.
I think there's something really cool, and it's a story, and I'm not quite sure if it's historically accurate or not, but like all good stories, it's a story that I think is meaningful to me. That I've heard throughout history, labyrinths tend to pop up more in times of great political and social upheaval. And I think that that has been true in my life. I have seen more labyrinths pop up in parks and in spaces around me and show up in ways that are surprising. I mean, it could be the yellow car phenomena. Like, you never see any yellow cars until you think about it, and then you see yellow cars all around. But, you know, I take that
Yeah, it still
into
pops up into your
consideration.
awareness, and then you see
Right.
it. Yeah.
But I also think it's an important story because if we are open to what might be popping up, if a labyrinth is a liminal space, if it's not there to give us direct answers, it's not like you're going to see the Oracle at Delphi or whatever, and you're going to get, although it's probably not a direct answer either. But, you know, if you're not going to a scientist, well, there goes a crow.
Crow just flew right in front of us.
That is trying to give you a direct answer for something. This is a different experience, and for that to pop up and happen more now in a time when I think people are searching for hope, and I think people are, you know, religion isn't necessarily the thing that people are leaning into. There are more spiritual, non-religious people self-identifying than ever before around us. And yet I think having that connection to something bigger than us is, you know, there's still a search for that, and there's still meaning for that. So I love the idea of labyrinths being a tool or a metaphor or a space
Yeah.
for that, and that gives me hope.
Yeah. Same. I love that. It's beautiful.
Thank you for being out here in this misty, cold weather.
Yeah. I think I have one question or pondering maybe to leave people with, and I don't know, maybe you have one as well, but you know, if you decide to find a labyrinth in your area or be curious about the experience of walking a labyrinth, I guess sort of my pondering for people to consider is like, what if you just allowed whatever arrives or doesn't arrive just to be considered? What if there's just space for it to be considered, to slow, to notice whatever your thoughts or what we might say like intuition or noticing your natural environment. Like, what if whatever arrives, you allowed it to be considered?
I love that pondering. I think the pondering that I would like is to ask, what if just knowing that labyrinths exist in the world, that is your invitation to step into it, metaphorically and maybe even figuratively, to step into that place, that liminal space of not knowing, that it is okay to not know and to just be in that space for a while. And that's exactly where you might need to be right then.
Yeah, love that. Okay, well, until next time, wander well.
We hope that you enjoyed this topic and discussion.
Check the episode notes for links and other resources, as well as links to our social media and website where you'll find more invitations, inspirations for connecting with nature, others, and ourselves. And join us for the next episode where we ponder outside. How does that make you feel? Where we tune into our experience of being outside in the mud and rain of a gorgeous park in Seattle, Washington, and start to explore what our relationships with the outside look like today.